They found a barren strip of land, choked by dust, poisoned by years of neglect. No birds, no trees, just wind and waste. And then they began planting, one sapling at a time, hundreds of species, thousands of hands, not for profit, not for headlines, but because they believed something broken could be rebuilt. They planted over 500,000 trees in soil that shouldn't grow anything. What they didn't expect was what grew around those trees. The air changed. The ground shifted. Life returned. And what happened next shocked the world. In November 2008, Durban's Environmental Planning and Climate Protection Department joined forces with the Solid Waste and Cleansing Department. They confronted their carbon footprint, hosting part of the 2010 World Cup. Carbon accounting estimated 307,208 tons CO2 emissions. Rather than buying offsets overseas, they aimed for local action, starting in the 787-hectare buffer zone surrounding the Buffelsdray landfill, about 8 kilometers northwest of Verulam, KwaZulu-Natal. That buffer zone encompassed former sugarcane lands, tilled for over a century. Soil erosion, invasive weeds, and depleted nutrients marred the terrain. The landscape was lifeless. No large trees, no shade, minimal wildlife. It was a wasteland, except it was home to thousands living nearby in Buffelsdray, Asindisweni, KwaMashu, and Dwedwe communities. Together with Wildlands Conservation Trust, the municipality decided to retire 580 hectares of that buffer from farming. Their aim, convert it into natural forest, selecting over 60 indigenous species matching baselines from nearby reference sites, such as Kenneth Steenbank Nature Reserve. Planting densities varied, from 1,000 trees in each hectare on upland to 2,000 in each hectare in lowland zones, responding to 8 distinct soil types mapped earlier. They initiated ecosystem-based adaptation, an integrated strategy not only aimed at carbon, but at biodiversity restoration, community livelihood, and climate resilience. Every tree would buffer landfill odor, serve as windbreak, and create habitat, while improving food security and local income. This holistic vision went beyond mere carbon math. Critically, the plan included rigorous baseline studies. They surveyed vegetation, invertebrates, birds, soil, and community poverty status. A socio-economic baseline in 2010 included 6,309 households and informed metrics for tracking social and ecological gains. These studies would guide species selection, livelihood support, and long-term monitoring. The Indigenous Trees for Life initiative turned unemployed locals into entrepreneurs, treepreneurs, receiving training in collecting seeds, potting seedlings at home, and nurturing them to transplantable size. By 2012-2013, there were over 600 active treepreneurs across multiple communities. In place of cash, treepreneurs earned credit notes redeemable at local tree stores. With credits, they bought groceries, school fees, bicycles, clothes, building materials, even driving lessons. Crisis-level hunger dropped. Households reporting going hungry all day declined from 80% to under 50%, and 30% of households obtained food through seedling trading. Between 2009 and 2015, the project created 455 jobs, about 50 full-time, 16 part-time, and 389 temporary positions in planting, nursery work, invasive species control, and fire patrol. By 2023, those numbers adjusted to 309 jobs, 32 full-time, 5 part-time, with 221 active treepreneurs still selling seedlings. Most had started below the poverty line. Treepreneurs received environmental training, climate science, ecosystem services, sustainable entrepreneurship. By 2018 to 2019, many began selling seedlings independently into local markets, diversifying into fruit trees and herbs. This shift helped them rely less on credit swaps, moving toward real income generation. Education extended beyond treepreneurs. 3,200 learners from 24 local schools, 60 ward counselors, and 320 community guides received training by 2015, exposing youth and local governance to ecological restoration and climate adaptation knowledge. Planting began in November 2008, accelerated into the wet seasons of 2009-2010, and continued in phases through 2014-2015, covering 580 hectares. In upland dry zones, they planted at roughly 1,000 trees in each hectare. In wetter lowlands, up to 2,000 in each hectare. By 2012, over 406,000 trees were traded in and 333,000 planted across 300 hectares. Species selection came from nearby reference woodland patches. Early inventory in 2011 identified baseline species richness. A follow-up in 2015 refined planting lists to mimic natural forest structures. This helped restore forest stratification, canopy trees, understory shrubs, climbers, herbs. By 2020-2021, cumulative planting exceeded 720 hectares, with over 700,000 trees planted across more than 141 species. The site extended beyond just forest. Restorations include wetlands, riparian zones, grasslands, all integrated with ecological corridors linking surrounding natural reserves. Field trials measured growth rates of key species: Erythrina lysistemon, Vachellia natalicia, Bredelia micrantha. Trials revealed that Erythrina and Vachellia grew fast across soils. Bredelia suited lowland. Mortality during the 2015 El Niño drought was noted: 18.9% in upland, 34.1% in lowland, varying by species. Sapling mortality ranged from 10% to 52.5% across species. Despite that, survival proved resilience of selection and local adaptation. An evaluation over a chronosequence 0, 3, and 5-year-old restored habitats showed progressive increases in tree richness, vegetation structure, and decreasing invasive plant cover. Compared to natural reference forests, the restored zones were closing the gap fast, an ecological transformation underway. By 2015, bird surveys reported 145 species, up from 91 in 2009. Then by June 2023, total bird species counted reached 197. Also recorded, 9 millipede and 22 mollusk species newly present on site, signs of restored invertebrate and animal communities. Carbon modeling projected the restored forest would sequester approximately 42,214 TCO2e over 20 years, a recovery exceeding what the degraded cane fields ever stored. By late 2020, project estimates adjusted to 45,007 TCO2e over 20 years, given expanded planting and improved survival rates. By early 2021, about 799,000 plants have been planted on 560 hectares across 141 different species. The scale astonished even seasoned conservationists, starting from barren cane stubble to nearly 8 square kilometers of mosaic forest and wetlands. The UN named Buffelsdray a Momentum for Change Lighthouse Project in 2011, placing it among the top 10 global climate innovations. In 2021, it was officially listed among the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, founding 50 projects, spotlighting it as a global restoration exemplar. The gains exceeded expectations. Local communities saw better access to food, education, income, and skills. Ecosystem services, including flood control, improved water quality, erosion mitigation, odor and noise buffering, and reduced fire risk, improved overall climate resilience and urban quality of life. At the heart of the site stands a center of excellence, an eco-building powered by solar panels, rainwater harvesting systems, efficient lighting. It was built using timber harvested from invasive alien trees removed during early restoration. This center offers workspace for researchers, community classes, and ecotourists visiting the regenerated landscape. The user-built center is a live classroom. Universities and post-grad students study local restoration methodology. Researchers monitor water flow, soil health, species richness, and community workshop outcomes. The project hosts extended training for 3,200 learners, both community members and school groups, enhancing environmental literacy. Socioeconomic benefits went deeper. Surveys documented that food insecurity, once experienced by 80% of households, dropped below 50%. Households trading seedlings increased by 30%, reducing reliance on relatives for food. Treepreneurs reinvested in children's school fees, housing, and started small enterprise ventures in seedling sales and ecotourism. Over time, the model was scaled. Similar restoration efforts took place at Ananda Mountain, 250 hectares, and Paradise Valley Reserve, using the same treepreneur methodology. This local scaling proved the approach was replicable for different degraded landscapes across KwaZulu-Natal. Treepreneurs gradually shifted to commercial activity. They diversified into fruit trees and vegetables, selling seedlings into local markets beyond the tree stores. They learned small business management and climate messaging. This allowed them to transition from credit dependence to independent income growers, forging community empowerment through ecological enterprise. What began as a carbon offset plan for a soccer event became something far greater: a thriving indigenous forest, a biodiversity-rich refuge, an economic lifeline for local communities, all resting on once toxic, nutrient-depleted fields. The unexpected twist: nature, guided by people, reclaimed a landscape thought barren. The methodology stands out. It wasn't top-down. It was community-led, rooted in local livelihoods, based on ecosystem-based adaptation, tuned to soil and species types. This fusion of science and social innovation redefined what reforestation can achieve. The shock? A landfill buffer zone, once thought useless, became a carbon sink capturing over 45,000 TCOT over 20 years, a biodiversity hotspot hosting nearly 200 bird species, and a community catalyst that lifted hundreds out of poverty. It inspired cities to invest in nature-based climate action. And if you were as shocked and hopeful by this extraordinary story as we were, make sure to like this video, share it widely with your friends, and subscribe for more world-changing revelations about our planet's future.